Hi. So this video is part of a series that I've mentioned that I've been doing to help people who've never gone camping, who've never gone solo camping, to get out there and just do it and enjoy it. As I've mentioned before in previous videos, the reason why this series came about is in response to questions that people that I know personally, family and friends, have had to the Los Angeles camping trip that I took for 3 days, 2 nights solo a couple weeks ago. And everybody that I know, they're like myself before I went on that trip. They've never gone on camping trips. They've never gone on, or they've never gone on a solo camping trip. So being in the woods is just a mystery. It's just like, how do you even do that? How do you even get out there? And so because I've had a lot of those questions, I thought, well, maybe there's a lot of other people who have questions as well, who maybe like me before I went on that trip, who've never gone camping or never gone solo camping. And so I decided to make a series to try and help those people out, to get out there, to have fun. And what I want to deal with here is a question that I've had about equipment, and just to really particularly my equipment, what I took out there. And I wanted to answer a couple of questions about that. I wanted to show my equipment, but I also wanted to answer a couple of questions as well about just getting equipment in the first place. Before I get into the gear that I took out there with me, I wanted to deal with two questions about gear in general, to kind of clear some things up. First of all is the cost of the gear. And not my gear, but just gear in general. Let's talk about how much it can cost to get gear together. Gear can be very, very, very expensive. It can run you a lot of money. The tents can cost you a few $100s. The backpacks can cost you a few $100s. The sleeping bags can cost you a couple $100s, and that's just to start. And if you add all the other gear that you have to put together, you can easily spend $1,000 or more just on gear, just to get out there. And when I was reviewing the gear that was out there, I was really, really, really shocked and surprised at how much it cost. I was like, oh my goodness, this is just a lot of money. And it was. But fortunately, I have to say that there's also a lot of YouTube videos out there that talk about being able to buy gear on a budget, buying gear that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, like the few $100 sleeping bags and a few $100 backpacks. And a lot of those videos were out there, and so I was able to find that through the help of those videos, I was able to put together all my gear very inexpensively. It didn't cost much at all. And I basically from 4 different sources. The first source that I had, I'd probably say maybe good 70-75% of my gear came from Amazon, Amazon.com. Awesome place to be able to get gear that doesn't cost a lot of money, very inexpensive. Just most of my gear came from there. Of the other 25%, maybe 23-24% of that came from Walmart. Walmart, believe it or not, Amazon's prices were actually better than Walmart's, but there were some things that Walmart had where they were better than Amazon. And so I'd say, like I said, maybe a good 24% of the gear that I had came from Walmart. The other 1% came from 3 different sources. 99-cent store, the Dollar Tree, and then there's the store. If you have a chance to check out the store, it's called REI. REI is a very, very good store. It's an awesome store. It has a lot of gear. It's sort of like an adult backpacker's Disneyland to go into REI. You can pay membership. $20 I think is how much it cost me, and that's for lifetime membership. You don't have to pay to renew. There's lots of classes there that you can take for camping, for this, for that, for getting out in the outdoors. Awesome. But I have to say that I didn't buy hardly any of my gear at REI, because REI sells those backpacks and tents that cost a few $100s, and so I wasn't going to buy all that there. But what REI did have that I was able to take advantage of is called a garage sale. If you ever can, take advantage of the REI garage sale. But the REI garage sale is just like it sounds. It's a garage sale. It's where people who tried out gear, for whatever reason, they brought it back. And it could be for reasons like they didn't like the color, it didn't fit right, just different things like that. There are some gear that got brought back because maybe it has some damage to it, so you have to look over things. But for the most part, most of the gear is good. It just got brought back because the person didn't like it for whatever reason, and because it got used, REI can't sell it for new, so they sell it at a discount. And the garage sales happen every so often. And I was able to take advantage of the REI sale and get my backpack there and my hiking boots there. The backpack, I think, costs normally a couple $100, but I was able to get it for I think it was 65 or 70, so huge discount there. The boots, I think, were again maybe 150, 175, but I was able to get them for, I think I got them for 40. So really, really good, and there was anything wrong with them. The backpack had a small issue with it that I noticed when I got out on the trail, and I mentioned that in the video of my trip. But I was able to repair that when I got home, and it didn't cause a bigger problem. But you can get good stuff there. So REI garage sales are definitely a way to go. Amazon.com, Walmart, Dollar Tree's 99-cent store. You can get a lot of stuff there for cheap, and you don't have to worry about it. And that is a really good way to get started. And the benefit of that is, if you buy your gear that way instead of buying the more expensive stuff, then if you get out there and you decide you don't like it and you never want to go again, which there may be people like that. I mean, I think camping was amazing. I'm definitely planning on going again. But if you're one of those people who think you never want to go again, well, you didn't spend that much money, so you're not losing that much money. If you get out there and you decide you do like it, but there's a piece of gear that you didn't like, it didn't work the way you thought it was going to work, well, you didn't spend much money on that piece of gear, so you didn't lose anything. So cost should not be a reason why you can't get started camping. It doesn't have to be. It can be expensive if you want it to be, but it doesn't have to be. So get out there, get the gear that you need inexpensively on the sites that I mentioned, and just go for it. So after cost, that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is weight. If you're backpacking, obviously you're the mule, you're the one carrying all the weight. You don't have a truck, you don't have a car, it's all on you. So the one thing you don't want to have is to get out there and just be weighing yourself down and killing yourself because you can't move because you got so much weight on you. Now, as far as weight classifications go, again, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, I'm not an expert backpacker, I'm not an expert camper. I've only gone back camping one time, and it was that trip I took. So I'm no way an expert. But watching all the YouTube videos that I watched of people who are expert campers, I've kind of learned that there are 3 different classifications of weight. One, the hardcore backpackers and campers, they're what's called ultralight campers. And ultralight means that their weight of their gear minus water minus food. And let me explain what base weight is before I talk about the 3 classifications. Base weight is the weight of all your gear minus water minus food. Why minus water? Why minus food? Because food and water, the weight will fluctuate. Because if you can start off with a certain amount of weight for water and food, but then you're going to drink it, you're going to eat it, and so the next day is going to be less. You're going to eat some more, drink some more, the next day is going to be less. And then you might replenish it, so it might go up. So the weight for that can go up or down. It's not static. It doesn't stay the same. So you don't count that in your base weight. But everything else stays the same. Your backpack's going to stay the same, your tent's going to stay the same, your sleeping bag's going to stay the same, everything else is going to stay the same. So all that minus food and water makes your base weight. Now, ultralight, an ultralight camper or backpacker, their weight is going to be 10 pounds or less. That's an ultralight camper backpacker, 10 pounds or less. That to me is like amazing. I don't know how you even get to 10 pounds, but that's like phenomenal. It's like, wow, that's hardcore, and that's for hardcore campers and backpackers. The next category is called light. Light is anything under 20 pounds. So 0 to 10 is going to be ultralight. And this isn't hard and fast because there's different people that will say different numbers. But generally speaking, 0 to 10 is going to be ultralight. 10 to 20 is going to be light. I'm not either one of those. Anything 20 and above is going to be your average. Basically your average weight. I don't know if you call it average, medium. And I saw people that went from 20 to upwards of 50. There may be heavier than that. So that's kind of your mid-range. Of course, it's going to be dependent on your body type, how much you can carry, your own weight, that type of thing is what's comfortable for you. For me, my weight when I got out there, I didn't weigh it before I went, but I weighed it when I got back, and I was very happy to find that my weight was only 31 pounds. I was very happy about that, because I was thinking it was going to be maybe 40, 45-ish, somewhere in there. So to learn that it was 31, it's like, oh, yeah. And when I was out there, it was not a lot of weight for me. I was able to carry it very easy. I didn't struggle with it. I didn't have a problem with it. I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'5". Right now, I'm heavier than I want to be, so I weigh about 180, but I'm 5'5", 180, so I'm not a big guy. But, so 31 was really comfortable for me. And you'll see the gear that I had that made up that 31 pounds, and you'll see it's not a lot. You'll see it. But, so 31 was good. So that's what I wanted to get into, that, and also 31 was good, but I also am looking at some things. I might be able to shave some things off, because so there's some gear that I took with me that I may not take with me next time, and I'll explain that why when I get into the gear that I had. So that 31 may go down to, I don't know, maybe 28-ish, 29-ish, somewhere in there. And so it's pretty good. So 31 is good for me, and you need to find what's good for you. You can go to REI. They can sit you up for free. They can test a pack on you, put in weights on you, just to see what's comfortable and what's good for you. And then you can walk out of the store and leave, and buy what you need to buy, just for whatever's comfortable for you. But again, 31 pounds was for me. 20 to 10 is going to be light, and 10 to 0 is going to be ultra light. So anyway, those are two things I wanted to talk about, was the cost and the weight. And now hopefully that can help allay any fears that you may have, and help you feel more comfortable about getting out there, and give you an idea what it takes to get out there. And so now on with my gear layout. So this is everything in my pack, everything that I carried with me on my trip to Los Angeles. They carried me through the 3 days and the 2 nights. So the first thing that I had, of course, was the backpack itself. So here you go. So everything that I had was either in this or attached to it. There wasn't anything that wasn't, like I said, in it or attached to it. So this was everything. Okay. The second thing, it may seem like an obvious thing you pass up, but it was very important. Of course, my boots. The boots are the second thing that I had. Can't go anywhere without your boots. Some people said, though, that there's kind of a debate on YouTube, I guess within the camping community, do you need boots or other types of shoes? Will they do as well? Well, these served me fine. They did really well until I got into the campsite that first night, because I'd walked so far and so long, my feet were tired and they were hot. And the other shoes that people recommend, you can either go what's called trail runners or other type of shoes that are more like low-cut tennis shoes rather than boots, and do that, or you could do the boots and do what's called camp shoes. Camp shoes are anything like Crocs or flip-flops or sandals or anything that just allow your feet to breathe, but boots. Third was my shelter system. The shelter system consisted of 2 parts, really. First was the tarp, and the tarp was to go under the tent so that it would be protected from any rocks or sticks that were on the ground that could puncture it. So this was protection for the bottom. So the tarp, and then of course we had the tent and the tent poles itself. Tent to sleep in, tent poles is what I carried. Some people do hammock camping. I use a tent. And then my sleeping system, which consisted first of a sleeping pad, which unfolded out, and this was basically my mattress to sleep on. It was very comfortable. I enjoyed it, didn't have a problem with this at all. I thought it would be too thin, that I would still feel the ground. I didn't. It was pretty good. And then was my sleeping bag. Kept me pretty warm at night and pretty snug. I enjoyed this one. Then was my pillow, my inflatable pillow. from the Camp and Trail Company, as you can see. I could not sleep without a pillow. Some people can sleep without pillows. I can't. I have to have a pillow, and this was really good. It's inflatable, as I said, very good pillow. I also brought along this camping chair, this trail chair. I won't be bringing it again. Not because I hate it or anything, it's just I never used it. Before I went on the trip, I did kind of a practice setup, set up the tent, set up the chair just to see everything, and it was really, really comfortable. I looked forward to using it out on the trail and just maybe sitting in front of the tent, enjoying a fire and all that. But when I got to the campsites, I never used it. And the reason why is because if you saw the video, you saw at the Westfork Camp Trail, it had a picnic table there, and so I used that. And when I wasn't using that, there were large rocks in that camp and at the second camp that I was at the next night, and so I just never took this out. I never used it, so I'm not going to take it, and it'll save me weight, but more than that for me, because the weight I think is like a pound. Okay, I guess in camping world that's a big deal, but for me it's not a big deal. 1 pound's not a big deal, but it'll save me the space. And that's what's important, because when I was camping my backpack, sometimes it was hard fighting to get things in there, and if I'd have had more space, it would have been easier. And this takes up a lot of space. This was one of my problem items, packing. So since I never used it, I won't take it. Next was my water system. My water system consisted of, first was my water bladder. This was inside the backpack. You slip it, there's a sleeve inside the backpack that you slip it inside of. This comes out of the backpack and comes around, and you guys saw me drink from it a couple of times. Very good. I enjoyed this. This was very helpful, especially that second day of hiking and the third day of hiking when I really was thirsty and wanted to get to water really easily. This was very handy. The second part of the water system was my water bottle. I enjoyed my water bottle. Loved this water bottle. It was really, really cool. The thing I loved about this water bottle is it's stainless steel. It keeps things cold for hours. I mean, at home I've had ice cubes in this that were still there the next day after 24 hours. And on the trail, I did a lot of filtering of water from streams that were really, really cold. And I'd filter the water into here, and then hours later when I drink it, still be really cold. And I love cold water, so this was just awesome. So I love this. The third part of my watering system is my filtering system. This is the filtering system that I have, and this is what I carried in my pack. But I realized that the next time I go, I won't carry all of this because it's not necessary. Let me take these out. The only things that I used out of this pack were these two items. This was the actual filter itself. This was the pouch through which I got the water out of. Let me kind of hook it up and show you how I used it. Basically, unstrap this, and you uncap this, and you take this and you place it underneath. There's a little stream of running water, and it pours into here, and it fills this up, and it fills it, and fills it, unfolds that, and then you take this. Once you've uncapped it as well, you take this and you screw it on like so, and then once this is full, you take your water bottle or your bladder, and you take the filter and you just squeeze down from here, and the water it pushes the water through this at a pretty good low rate, and it goes into the bladder or the water bottle, and this filter takes out all the impurities and all the things that you'd have to worry about and makes the water safe to drink. So this is very handy, very good. So I was able to filter a lot of water, and it kept me full of water the whole trip. Now as far as the rest of this though, what this is all for is for cleaning out the filter. So you can flush it out. And I thought I would use this to flush the filter out on the trail, clean it out a little bit here. But the filter is so efficient and so good that you can use it just many times without ever having to flush it out. And so I never used this. So I could have done this at home. So I won't take this the next time, because again, it just takes up space and I don't really need it. I'll take all this stuff out, keep the bag to keep the filter system in, but save space, this won't be going with me next time. Now my cook system, this is it. This is my cook system here. This outer shell is my koozie, and I'll explain that in just a minute. Let me get this out first. So this is the pot that I use to do my cooking in. Inside of this pot is another pot. I didn't use this pot to do cooking in. What I would do is the food that I was eating, I'd put it in this pot and use it as a bowl and just eat out of that. Now I would do the boiling of the water in this pot to use to do my cooking. Now inside of this pot, just for carrying purposes, I have my stove and the fuel for my stove. Now just so you can see the stove really quickly. This is the case and this is the stove itself. It spans out like this so that you can set your pot on top of it like this and boil your water. What you do with this is you take this and you screw it onto your fuel canister like this, and this becomes your complete stove. And then you do your cooking and boil your water on top of it, like I said. Now, once you've boiled your water, that's where my koozie came in. What I would do with this is after I finished boiling the water, I would take a freezer bag, put the dehydrated food I wanted into the freezer bag, pour the boiling water into the freezer bag, seal the freezer bag, take the freezer bag, put it into here, and then put this top on like so. And this contained all the heat inside, so the food cooked inside of the heat inside of the freezer bag inside of here. And I just sat and waited maybe 20-25 minutes depending on how long it was supposed to take to cook it, and then my food would be ready and I could eat it. So this was my cooking system. And so now as far as clothing, everything that I needed was here in this bag. In this bag I had changes of underwear for each day that I'd be there, change of socks for each day that I'd be there, couple t-shirts extra. Also had a thermal long sleeve night shirt to wear in case it got cold. I could wear that in the day or the night in case it got cold. It never got cold, so I didn't use it, but I will continue to take it because it's in the mountains. Here in LA, we're known for our warm weather, so we're not cold weather people. So if I go up to the mountains and it gets too cold for me, which may not be cold for some of you, but it might be cold for me, I can have that. Other than that, I didn't take any extra clothes. I didn't take any extra pants. Wore the same pants that I wore all 3 days. I took one extra shirt, so you saw me change shirts here and there, but pretty much everything was here. I also took these two hats with me. This hat I took because of the fact that I'd never been camping before, had no experience. Normally when I walk out, the sun doesn't really bother me, but I didn't want to take a chance, so I took this as a protection against the heat. Really didn't need it. I used it the first day, maybe an hour or so, but after that I really didn't need it. It wasn't that hot out there to me, and there was a canopy of trees, so it filtered the sunlight really well, so that it never became a problem to me. I did use this one. You saw me in the video use it. I used it at night, first night to sleep in, second night to sleep in too, to keep my head a little warm, because even though the sleeping bag was good and snug and warm, I couldn't put my head in there. And so, well, actually I could have, but I didn't want to. I wanted to be able to breathe, and so this kept my head warm at night. And also in the mornings were very chilly for the most part. It didn't last long, but it was at first, and so I always wore this for an hour or two at the beginning. So I did definitely wore this. I'm not sure if I'll take this again next time. I may, just be safe rather than sorry. But so far, if it proves that I don't need it again, I probably will drop this, but I'll definitely keep this. I also took these two pair of gloves with me on the trail, and you might be asking yourself, why would you take two pairs of gloves? Well, I took this pair as the primary pair in case I had to do anything where my hands might have to go into thorns, or if I did anything that could have the potential to make calluses on my hand or anything. I took this as protection. I really didn't use them, but I'm going to keep them because, again, better safe than sorry, because I may need them, so I'll use them. These I took not as work gloves, but as weather gloves. I took them in case it got really cold up there again. I didn't know how cold it was going to get, and if it got really cold and I needed extra protection that these couldn't give me, then I could use these. It never got cold enough up there for that. Not even close enough, so I won't be taking these again, not unless I go like winter camping or something like that, or late fall camping, which I'm not sure about that because I don't think I'm experienced enough yet to do that. Not in the winter, but yeah, so I don't think I'll be taking these again. Definitely these, but not these. I also carried this very light jacket. It was helpful and very good. It kept me warm in the temperatures I needed to keep me warm in. I didn't really have to use it most of the day, but again, for those late evenings and those early morning hours when it was really chilly, yeah, this definitely did help. So definitely appreciated having this along. I also took these two things with me as well. Basically what they are, they're basically rain protection. This is rain protection for my backpack. If it ever started raining, I could wrap this around my backpack, put it over my backpack, and keep everything inside dry. Most everything inside my backpack I kept inside of garbage bags anyway to protect it from water, but again, just in case, this was there to help me as well. What this is a poncho for me. So that way I could put it over me if it ever started to rain. It goes all the way down to my knees, so it would give me good protection. In case I didn't have to use them ever because it didn't rain, but again, you never know when it's going to rain and you never know what the weather's going to be like. So I'll keep these even though I didn't use them, just because it's better to be safe than sorry. I think that's getting to be my little mantra: better safe than sorry. Next up is the hardware that I took with me, beginning with the trekking poles that I took with me. Now, I can't say enough how just awesome it is to have something out there with you to support you as you're walking along the trails. Just having some support to move with just makes you go faster, you're able to climb better. Without support, you go much slower, you get a lot more winded. Going up hills is just harder. Having some support is just awesome. Now, whether or not that support needs to be trekking poles, I'm not sure I'm sold on. In fact, I'm starting to think that maybe I just kind of got lulled into the whole trekking pole thing as the support you should take with you. And the reason why I say that is because every YouTuber, every sporting goods store that I went to and asked questions about, they all sung the praises of trekking poles, having something to support with you, and they always pointed to trekking poles. So I think I kind of got lulled into that, and so I got them, but then when I got out there, I wasn't really happy with trekking poles. Well, I shouldn't say happy. I wasn't impressed with having trekking poles as my support. And what I mean by that, and the reason why I say that is because this one kept failing me completely. The first day that I went out, it was fine, but it kept slipping, and I kept having to adjust it constantly throughout the day. And it was like, oh, really? Again? Here we go. And then the second day when I woke up, and as you saw in the video, I pointed out that it just broke. It just didn't work. I couldn't get it to. There's 3 sections to this thing. There's the section here. There's the section here. There's the section here. I couldn't get this section to slide. This one could, but this one wouldn't, and it was stuck up here. I fixed it since then, so now it does slide. But I'm not sure if I trust it anymore because it kept giving me so many problems. I mentioned earlier in this video that I'm a Los Angeles resident and I'm a city slicker because of that, but my original roots are not Los Angeles. My original roots are Mississippi, and so there's a little bit of country boy inside of me. Even though I'd never gone camping before, I still have country boy inside of me. I love going into fields, I love going into open places and just doing small little hikes and just scouting out things, and that's cool. And so what I'm used to doing with that way is just as soon as I get into the field or the woods that I'm going into, I just grab a stick. Like this one. And I use this, and I use sticks. So all my life I've always grabbed a stick and just used a stick and walk with that. And so when I got the trekking poles, I was like, okay, trekking poles, let me try those. I never used those. Those are cool. They must be much better than sticks, so let me use that instead. And what I found was, after the novelty of it wore off and these things come out, they really weren't much better than the sticks. They really weren't. And so you saw me the second day and the third day using a combination of a trekking pole and a stick. And honestly, all the time that I was out there, I was thinking, maybe I should just chuck this one and get a second stick, because this was awesome. I mean, it gave me everything I needed. It did just as well as these. The only thing I can say that this might have as a selling point, which I'm not sure is a selling point, is it has a little spring on it, if you can see, but it has a little give here. So I guess it's supposed to be like a shock absorber on your car. It helps you go through bumps, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. To me, I think the stick was just as good. and I'm really really contemplating just sticking with the sticks. I got one, I know I can find another one. It's easy, it's always easy to find sticks, and I'm not so sure I'll take the trekking poles next time. I may give them another shot, I may not. The jury's out on that. We'll see. So next up for my hardware is my camping saw. I loved my camping saw. My camping saw was so much fun. It was like a little toy. This is what I used to saw this down, this end of the stick, to get this stick that I use to replace the trekking pole. I used it for a couple other things out there. It was really cool. I enjoyed that. It was really cool. The other hardware that I had that comes in this little pouch is my camp shovel. Now, with the camp shovel, even though the first day in the camp at Westfork there was an outhouse, I wanted to do real camping. I wanted to get as far away from civilization as I possibly could to do real camping. So I did not use the outhouse. And I know some of you may want to cover your ears when I say that, but I did not use the outhouse. What I use this to dig a hole, and I also use it to do a little hammering too. It came in handy for that too. But yeah, this was my camp shovel. I liked my camp shovel. It was pretty cool. Enjoyed having it, and yeah, so there was that. Next up for hardware is my lighting system. Had 3 different lights here. First one, I don't think you guys got to see me use it, but I mentioned it, was my headlamp. I used this at the first night when I was still hiking into the first camp, and it got too dark and I couldn't see, and so I was able to use this to navigate the trail. And when I got into camp 2, I just kept it on as I prepared the food for that night and set up the tent. This was handy to have. The second source of light that I used was this camp lantern. Basically you pull it up like this and it lights up as daylight right now, so you can't really see it, but this thing is pretty bright. In fact, if my eyes were too close to it, it blinded me. I couldn't see anything. So this camp light, this was really handy to have. I use it a lot inside the tent and outside the tent. Really handy to have. And then thirdly, the light that I had as well was this little tiny light I got from Daiso, which if you don't know what Daiso is, it's sort of like a Japanese 99-cent store. It was really bright, really handy. It was sort of like a little mini flashlight. Definitely used this. It was really cool. And then last of my hardware was this. This was a waterproof speaker that I took with me, because I mentioned in the camping video that I'd planned on the second day to be stationary in the camp, maybe do some exploring in the area, but to really be in camp and hike out the third day. So I was going to listen to music while I was at the camp, and this is what I would use it on. This is waterproof. It's really cool. I use it around the house a lot. Really good sound. I love this thing. It's AYL something or other. I don't remember. Got it from Amazon, but never used it. And the reason why I never used it is because I never sat still at that camp, because as you know, if you watch the video, as you know, I didn't sit still that day. I hiked out, and so I never got to use this. So I'm not sure if I'll take this with me again the next time, but we'll see. Now, I also took a first aid kit with me. This thing pretty much has everything that you could ask for. This is a list of items that it has, so you can see that. I also took kind of this supplemental first aid kit with me. I've had some injuries the past year, different injuries with my knee, my ankle, elbow, and so I took, as you can see, an ankle wrap here, got a knee wrap, also an elbow wrap that also serves as a cold press. I also have in here bottled bug spray as well to keep bugs off. Got this at a 99-cent store, but the brand is highly recommended as a natural bug repellent. Never had to use it. I never get bothered with bugs, but again, better safe than sorry. I didn't know what I'd find out there, but I'll definitely be taking it with me again just in case. I also had this little bag which only has 2 little contents in it. The first thing is tin foil. And the tin foil was there in case it was windy and I needed to cook. This could serve as a windscreen for my stove, so the wind wouldn't blow out the fire. Didn't have to use it, thankfully. There wasn't enough wind for that. And then this is just a little journal. In case I felt like journaling, I could do that. Never had a chance to because I was walking constantly the whole time. So I never got the chance to sit still and do that. But that was there. Next up are little bitty odds and ends that I had either attached to my backpack or in small little pockets of my backpack. The first thing was that you saw sitting on my shoulder over here was hand sanitizer. So I had that. Use this a little bit here and there, just to keep my hands clean when I didn't feel like stopping and taking my backpack off to wash my hands. I could just reach and use this, so this was handy. This is a combination compass, thermometer, and whistle. So if you get lost or anything, you can make sounds and noises so people can hear you. So I have that in case to help them find my way. I never had to use it, but if I had to, again, better safe than sorry. Had a couple of hooks that I used to hook things onto my backpack. Also used one to get my bear bag up in the tree for my food, which again you saw in the video. So these definitely came in handy. I also had this. This is a little tick puller in case I got ticks out there, because a lot of videos, not a lot, a number of videos that I saw from YouTubers did mention that sometimes there is a danger of getting ticks out in the woods. So got this just in case I found one, I could pull it. Fortunately, did not have to use this. I'm so happy about that. This is my multi-tool. My multi-tool came in handy. It has different things on it: pliers, screwdrivers, a couple other things. It also came in handy because it has a small little knife on here too. I did have another knife that I took with me. I love that knife. It was an awesome knife. Used it a couple of times the first day to cut things here and there that I needed to cut. Repaired my water bottle, as I showed you on the trail, with the duct tape that I used. But at one point I took it out. I sat down as I was resting, took it out to cut something, and I set it down beside me to do something, and then I got distracted and then took off from that spot. And it wasn't until a couple hours later that I realized, when I went to go get the knife to use it for something, that I had left it. And so I couldn't go back because I was a couple hours away, and it was late in the day, and it was getting toward nightfall. I couldn't go back, and when I went back through there on the return trip, it wasn't there. So I'm gonna have to replace that knife. Knives, I can tell you, you use them a lot. I use that knife so much that first day. So definitely look on replacing the knife. But my multi-tool came in handy as well. And then finally, I had my ditty bag. A ditty bag is a bag of essentials that you really need to carry with you. Every YouTuber, every camper that I saw recommended a ditty bag. Different people had different things in a ditty bag, but most of the things were the same. Things that I had in my ditty bag, without really pulling it out and going through it too much, were I had waterproof matches in case it rained or I got lost somewhere. I could start a fire. Also had a big lighter just in case. Had glow stick here, again, in case I got lost and it was night and there was a search party looking for me. I can make a light that I could put on my body that I think I could be seen by. Duct tapes here, little roll of duct tape. Had extra batteries in case my lights couldn't work anymore. I could replace the batteries here. I had water purification tablets in case, again, I got lost from the camp and I couldn't get to my water purification system. I could have the water purification tablets. I had camp soap in here to wash with, to do different things with, alcohol pads, just a lot of different things in here. Cough drops, a lot of different things. Just, you should have a ditty bag. I'm not going to go, like I said, I'm not going to go into everything I have in my ditty bag, but I will link below a couple of links to different sites that talk about things that people have in their ditty bag, so that'll help you as well. But basically, yeah, that was it. So basically, that's all the gear that I had. That's every single item that I had, minus the food. And as I said, it was only 31 pounds total, and that's not a lot of weight. Other people who are much more experienced than I might say that's a lot of weight, that's a ton of weight, and others might say that's no weight at all. So there's always a debate on what's a lot of weight and what's not a lot of weight, but that was not a lot of weight. I was not uncomfortable, I was not too heavy, and there are a couple items I mentioned here that I probably won't take with me, like the chair. That'll cut the weight down too, but 31 pounds was not a lot of weight, and that was all the gear that I took with me. And definitely easy to get. So hopefully that helps you to be able to get your gear together, to be able to put your pack together so that you can get out there on the trail and get out there and enjoy just camping. And like I said, whether you go solo or don't go solo, just go out there, just have fun. Solo is fine, I enjoyed it, I plan on going solo again, but however you go, I highly recommend it. Camping is awesome. Alright, so hopefully that was good for you, and hopefully you learned a lot. Alright, take care, bye.